Yo tienes el micro apagado.
Well, let's continue. I'm so pleased to introduce our next guest speaker, Gabriela Ladrón de Guevara de León, PhD, who will present From Grammar to Growth, Integrating Soft Skills into Everyday EFL Activities. Gabriela Ladrón de Guevara, PhD, is a professor and researcher at Universidad Autónoma de la Ciudad de México, with extensive experience in English language teaching, teacher training, and applied linguistics. She holds a PhD in education and has developed and led innovative classroom interactions focused on writing skills, learning strategies, and sound skills integration. Her work combines academic rigor with a strong commitment to student-centered learning. Dr. Ladrón de Guevara has presented in national and international conferences, and her areas of interest include creative pedagogy, reflective teaching, and development of communicative and socio-emotional competence in EFL classroom. It's a pleasure to meet you over here, Gabriela Ladrón de Guevara.
Thank you very much. I don't know what's happening because I cannot share my screen nor have my background because of the Zoom version, I assume. But, well, today we're going to talk about that point of going from grammar to growth. How can we integrate soft skills in our activities, everyday activities? Have you ever heard about the soft skills? Okay, what's that? Any idea? Can you list some of them? Soft skills, what's that? Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
In the meantime, while our attendees try to answer, I was going to propose to you, would you like us to share the screen with your presentation if you have it? And you can
that would be great, thank you. I'm sharing my presentation in the chat. And in fact, so have you ever heard about the soft skills? Not sub, but soft. No? Okay, those are skills that are working right now, that we are having right now in our classrooms, and they are being every day much more used, and they are more relevant right now. And as part of these soft skills, we don't have a clear definition of what they are. Anyway, all of us use them in our classrooms, but maybe not in a very not so. They are, soft skills are something that's not very defined, but they are character traits, attitudes, and behaviors. They are not really technical aptitude or knowledge, but the etc. Yes, exactly. Those are parts of the soft skills. Also, we have those ideas that are not really abilities in terms of cognitive traits, but also non-technical, intangible, and personality-specific skills. What's that? And they are developed following those traits. Of course, we can improve them and we can modify them according to our own training. For example, to being a facilitator, a mediator, or a negotiator. And this is according to Robles in 2012. For Nick Rand, we have 4 groups of soft skills: interaction, self-management, communication, and organization. If you link to different interactions, And in our language classrooms, they are very clear. We have interaction, of course, in the language classroom. Interaction is vital. Attitude awareness, tolerance, turn-taking, for example, self-management. We know that in our language classrooms, the ability to self-study, to be autonomous learners, and of course, to interact in a very complex environment with cognitive and metacognitive and social skills working at the same time, well, is very important. Communication, of course. We know that the main point of having a language class is to communicate. This is our main objective. And, well, we know that those times of having a specifically classes based on grammar, they are not more there. We have classes that are more based in problem solving. And at the end, if we analyze, we know that when we are working, the main point of having that interaction is to solve a problem. Of course, we have other definitions. As we said, it is not a fixed topic. We think that, according to Shakir, we know that we need communication, critical thinking, and problem solving, as you mentioned in the chat, and the ability to cooperate with others. We know that in a language classroom, that is essential. Students have to communicate ideas, opinions, facts, and interacting with other people. And for that, they use critical thinking. So they analyze the problem they are having in terms of communication, and they can create that communication. We know that our main objective as teachers is to create lifelong learning environments. Soft skills are specifically meant to that, according to Shakir. And, of course, we work with values, moral, ethics, and that is part of our work as teachers. We know that it is very important to work in that context. Of course, we also have other definitions as Galvan, Tricks, and Casby, but they have the same common points. Communication, leadership, organization, self-motivation, and here we have something new, creativity. That is one of the most important traits that we use in our classrooms, because every single interaction is new. Students are creating and recreating new discourses while they are having this oral interaction. In fact, in this very moment, we are having that interaction, and we are creating and recreating new meanings. This is an ephemeral learning community, and we are having and creating new meanings using soft skills. Okay, just a moment. Okay, we have noticed that we have common points: communication, organization, self-management or self-evaluation too, and we have noticed some differences. So, can we have a common concept for soft skills? Okay, go. Okay, the next slide, please. And here we have a combination of self-awareness, cultural awareness. In the language classroom, that's vital. Well, in all kinds of classrooms, but in language classroom, that's vital. Interpersonal skills and verbal and non-verbal communication styles. That's my proposal. Of course, in the language classroom, we are using these skills combined while we are learning a language, because we have the use, of course, we have the cultures in the classroom, yes. Well, I have that idea that every single classroom or learning environment, as this one, is a multicultural one. Why? Because we have different visions and different backgrounds, so different cultures. So we have cultural awareness, interpersonal skills. We are building that rapport. And of course, verbal and nonverbal communication. In this very moment, if I have the gallery, I can see your faces and I have immediate feedback. Nonverbal communication. And you are not only listening to me, but looking at me, and you are identifying my voice patterns. That is part of the nonverbal and verbal communication styles that form the soft skills. And how can we promote the soft skills in the classroom? That is our next slide. That, well, we are very lucky. The activities that we commonly use in the language classroom are promoting reflection, analysis, and appropriation of soft skills. And what is the difference? Because now we know that they are very trendy topics, for example, in professional work or in some academic settings. What is the difference? In our language classroom, it is very important that if we want to make soft skills clear, we have to emphasize their use. Not only to have in a very natural to help them reflect. How can we do that? Here I have some problem-solving activities. They provide students with the problem, and they have to use their thinking skills to solve them. And at the same time, they are using the language. That is very common, no? And of course, if we are talking about soft skills, they are working with everyday situations, and they are interesting for students. If we're talking about real life, they are interesting for students. And ethical, moral issue, if we want artificial intelligence in our classrooms. Those are problem comments that we have to think, reflect, and use toward that objective, not only for certain specific abilities, maybe they read or they listen, but they are also using their soft skills in another level. So another activity, here we have an example, please. So this is a very common thing that we have. One of your cousins is getting married, and you and your friend have to select the best gift for her. What would you choose and why? In fact, problem solving. But also, we have cousin. So what do I need to get for her? Etc. And another discussions that have that point, to have a point of view that is different, is not this. And the purpose, it is another slide, please. The purpose of this activity is to use communication skills and interpersonal skill. Communication, yes, we have to have the message, to know the language, etc.